Youth protesters in Madagascar are rejecting dialogue and doubling down on their demands. The protests began over power and water shortages, but have grown into a broader movement against poverty and corruption. The protesters accuse President Andry Rajolina's government of repression after weeks of unrest that has claimed over 20 lives. The demonstrations have become the biggest challenge to Rajolina since his re-election in 2023, in a country grappling with deep economic hardship.
Madagascar's youth are rising, and they're not backing down. They sing the national anthem, not in celebration, but in resistance. It's been 2 weeks of protests, and the movement is only growing.
We are here to claim our rights because in Madagascar we don't have the right to express ourselves. Whereas in other countries, as you can see, there are Gen Zers everywhere. They are not arrested. They protest peacefully, and we are trying to do the same.
The crackdown has been harsh. The UN says over 20 have died, more than 100 injured. Madagascar's youth say they had enough. Even medical students have joined the protests and are helping the injured. They demand better pay, better conditions, and basic respect.
We're here because the system is flawed. The healthcare system is flawed, and that has repercussions for all Madagascans. We're not the only ones here. We're in good health. But Madagascans, we think of your families, we think of your parents, we think of your children. That's why we're here.
President Andry Rajolina is a former youth protester himself. Back in 2009, he led an opposition movement against the then president. Now he finds himself in a similar position. Under pressure, he fired his cabinet and named a former military general to lead his new government. General Safisambo is no stranger to power. Previously, he served in several roles in the government, including the Prime Minister's office. Protesters say this isn't change, it's control. They want much more.
The accumulation of problems provokes a revolution, and that's why the state has lost control. This is a revolution, not a simple removal of the president. No, it's a revolution. And the only solution to a revolution is to accept the people's demands.
On Wednesday, the president met with civil society groups, though the anti-government movement stayed away. At the gathering, Rajolina made this bold offer.
I pledge that we will do everything in our power to accelerate the energy transition in Madagascar and implement all of the projects. If there are still power cuts in Madagascar within a year, I will resign.
But many here say they've heard it all before. Madagascar has seen this cycle in 1972, 2002 and 2009. Each time, protests led to political shake-ups. This time, protesters say they want more than just a new face in power. They want true change and a system that works for everyone.
Right, so the youth protesters set an ultimatum for the president to resign and called for a general strike. I spoke earlier to Pulitzer Prize-winning Malagasy journalist Gail Borgia, who was at that national dialogue called by the president.
The meeting had been presented by the president as a major moment of truth, a space where he encouraged people to speak honestly and not hold back. But the Gen Z movement didn't want to take part in this event. The president said, I want you to tell me what's hurting you, what you care about. I want you to be honest. I don't want flattery or to be told only what I want to hear. So he seemed sincere. He seemed to really be open. But the Gen Z said that it's a fake dialogue, that repression is still going on. So that's why they don't want to be a part of this.
Right, right. Tensions clearly still high. Can you just take us back a bit? Tell us about the main issues that sparked the wave of protest in Madagascar in the first place.
It started with an MP who protested in the street and who was repressed. So that was the origin of the movement. It comes from an MP, an opposition MP. And then members of the town council, opposition members, wanted to organize a street protest. So they asked for the authorization to the authorities and they were denied. And when they wanted to talk with a senator, with a female senator about power cuts, about water cuts, and they got arrested. And that's what launched the whole movement. And then Gen Z took over. So it was quite quick. It happened in 2 weeks, but no one expected the young people to take part in this because first it was more political.
Right, right. I mean, look, the Prime Minister accuses protesters of plotting a coup just, because of the sheer numbers of protesters out there, while also he installed a military general as Prime Minister. How's that being received in the country?
It's not well received, especially by the Gen Z movement. They say that it confirms how the government thinks, how the president thinks. It confirms the will of repression against protesters. So basically, they were not really interested in this new prime minister nomination. They ask for the president to resign immediately. So whoever the prime minister was, they wouldn't be happy anyway. But of course, they would have preferred someone from the civil society. For them, it's not a good sign regarding the way the government sees the protests, the will of dialogue from the government. So they see this as a sign of repression, as the sign that the government changed anything. So they say that whatever the president might say, it's lies. Because at the end of the day, they nominate someone from the army.
Right. So protesters are refusing talks as long as authorities use force. What are they demanding exactly?
What they don't want to talk with the president the way it is organized. So that's why they didn't want to take part in this dialogue suggested, proposed by the president. They said, we reject this mockery of dialogue. We refuse the president's invitation to come and talk, and we will not engage with a regime that represses, beats, and humiliates young people in the streets. They wrote that on their Facebook page. They said, we don't extend a hand to a government that every day crushes those who rise up for justice. And what they demand is clearly said on their Facebook page. They want the right to protest freely. They want the dissolution of the Senate. They want a public apology from the president for the protesters who were shot dead. They want an end to threats against youth and opposition leaders. Investigations into acts of violence against protesters. So they have a lot of demands, and for the moment they think there is no response from the authorities.
Right. That just makes me want to find out this. Give us an idea what civil society is generally like in Madagascar. Is it more common that citizens can effectively contribute to democratic governance and accountability?
From what I see, the civil society is very active. They have been active for years. They have been fighting against corruption, against injustice. They issue statements. They really try to alert the government, to say things are going wrong, and they are not really listened to. And usually, people say that young people are not really interested in politics. They don't go and vote. They are not really interested. So this movement, this Gen Z movement, was really unexpected. No one could have expected this protest, this massive protest. It was organized in a week. So there is a very active civil society, but they never protested. They were never. I mean, I've never seen a street protest in years. So this was really unexpected.
Right. Gail Borgia, journalist in Antananarivo. Thank you.
Thank you.